Hello, everyone. I'm Megyn Price. I am so happy to join the Earth Day 2025 virtual stage again this year. It's my honor to be involved. And today I am talking with Nelson Yip from Con Edison. Nelson, hi, welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Megan. It's so glad to be here. My name is Nelson Yip. I have nearly 25 years in operations, engineering, and energy policy at Con Edison. I run their resiliency and sustainability strategy efforts. For those in the audience, Con Edison powers New York with electric, gas, and steam. And one thing I want you to know is I'm really passionate about tackling complex challenges with people like Megan to really think through things using data like climate data, customer insights. But what I like to do is I focus on electrification, climate adaptation, and really thinking about not just the corporation, but really resilient communities. That's why I'm excited to be here, Megan.
Great. That's actually what I love to talk about. So I feel like big picture, people want to know what is clean energy? We know electric, right? And then we know solar, and then there's all these arguments, but solar has panels made here. Is this really actually clean? Is this like what are you focusing on at Con Ed for helping people understand what clean energy is?
Yeah, and so for Con Edison is over 200 years old. So we power some New York City, and we made it a world class city from all the five boroughs. Right, I have to give a shout out to the Bronx, Staten Island, and all these others. But I think on Earth Day, for me, in terms of thinking about clean energy, we have to also think about as we think about that transition. How do we think about the people, the communities, and for us New Yorkers in the area which we serve? As we talked, I think it's important that I'm a father of two young children. So I think, our children deserve a future where they can breathe in fresh air. And also, there's a growing threat of extreme weather coming that we've been seeing, but also not just seeing, but also studying and then really thinking about a high quality of life. But to really answer your question in terms of clean energy, it's really for us, climate change and clean energy are linked. It's really helping customers think about their climate and social goals in terms of what type of energy that they want, their electric vehicles, their building heating, maybe switching away from fossil fuels, but then also building the transmission to kind of like extension cords for example, if we have offshore wind coming in and powering those green electrons into homes. And then finally, for my purpose, it's a 201-year-old company. Resilience and fortifying takes a long time. And we want to make sure that we build a future-proof system that is ready. So when people flip on their power or their energy systems, they will have it, and it will also be clean.
What do you think the biggest obstacles are for that, for you, like when you guys are trying to move forward?
Yeah, so I think, really good question. I think for us, we think about environmental stewardship as really part of our DNA, but I think it's really making sure that while the utility is doing things, communities have to do things, and then the audience and customers have to do things, not just on Earth Day, but every day, right? So I
Great.
think one thing we're thinking about, is we have a comprehensive resilience roadmap that's 645 million over 5 years and 5 billion over 20 years. But those are things that we can do infrastructure wise, right? It's thinking about undergrounding, which is really just taking overhead wires and putting underground, thinking about some building increased heat, and then really doing some nature-based solutions and other things. But we also have many programs that really can that can be smaller, that our customers or even customers in other service territories, can take care of.
So I'd love to talk about that. So I live in California. I live in Southern
Mm.
California specifically, which is obviously has been in the news for wildfires and um, wires have been, implicated and all that kind of stuff. So we're all for that infrastructure changing and getting safer and cleaner. But as just, regular everyday people, what can we do? I grew up in the 80s. It was like turn off the lights, conserve energy. I'd like to teach my child to do more than just to turn off the lights, although I do have to go behind her and turn off the lights every 5 years. But what can we do
Yeah.
to help in addition to turning off lights?
Yeah, and I think that that's right. Even turning off the lights, or even like the 1.0 version of like having light bulbs and changing out LED light bulbs. I mean, we can't get the old light bulbs anymore, but I think it's a couple of things, and I would really, thank you for giving me the platform. One thing is Con Edison runs one of the country's largest heat pump incentive programs in the country, so it's called our Clean Heat program. So we helped enable 14,000 heat pumps, and really heat pumps are really thinking through how do you either have different heating source or a cooling source, but we've provided up to $120 million in incentives for customers to really electrify their homes and heating systems, right? Um,
As opposed to
air conditioning in your home, and then also like an oil boiler, things like that. So really, when you're making a decision, the economics really matter. So one thing we thought, and we've done a lot of focus groups, is residential customers can receive up to $10,000 to install an air source heat pump, or even more complex ones with geothermal is like 35,000. So we really have a website. So if you go to connet.com, save energy and money, right? There's a clean energy program. It has a whole bunch of incentive programs that really think about how do we electrify for 1 to 4 family, multifamily, but then also commercial properties. And then also it's as a homeowner, I also say, hey, I don't have a contractor. So we have a list of contractors that we can kind of enroll and do stuff. So that's one way to do it.
I love that. And I would also say, like, if you're not in New York, I'm not in New York. I reached out when I got an electric vehicle to my, Southern California Edison and just checked out their programs. And pretty much what I found, I also have family in Oklahoma, and they reached out, just to learn more from your electric company. You can actually learn a lot more. And there are incentive programs kind of all over the place for different reasons. There's also a lot of education, I think, on the websites for energy companies that you don't, well, as a consumer, I don't really think about going on unless I'm looking just to pay my bill, or
Yeah.
correct the typo. But really, I think I've learned a ton about, high use times and a more efficient way to use the electricity that I'm pulling into my house. So I think going to your energy company's website is a great tip, to find out if there are incentives in your area and how to best take advantage of them.
And it's great that you mentioned that in terms of Southern California Edison. We benchmark with them all the time. I think they have one of the higher incentive programs, and I think we're number 2 in terms of enabling light duty vehicles, which is really interesting. You said that. We also have something called Smart Charge New York. So consumers have EVs can earn rebates if they charge their cars in the evening. So we when we need energy at peak times, if we even change behavior, we don't have to, we can think about building less infrastructure proactively. And then the other piece, we talked about, other things for your home. I think it's, in maybe even colder weather climates, it's building envelope. Like how much can you have, caulking, sealing, better windows. So we have also incentives for that. I think doing my homework, it was about $2,000 to $4,000 for 1 to 4 family homes, where the audience can in our service territory look for ways to weatherize their home. So I think 10,000 here, 2,000 here, that all adds up in terms of really economics. But I think, Megyn, for both of us, I think it's more how do we think about also, I think it's affordability is really important in the clean energy transition, because as we build a next generation grid, we want to make sure that people are able to enjoy the benefits of it, and also make sure that they think about if you're struggling with your bills. Your utility offers can work with you on flexible payments. But then an interesting stat is we in 2024 alone invested about $300 million in something called an energy affordability program. About 480,000 of our customers receive some sort of rate discounts based on that program to really defer some of these things. But I think it's really important to kind of make sure that we do that as well, to kind of make sure that we build infrastructure wise, we think about customers, and then also how do we think about low and moderate income customers? Because I think as we work with our customers, we also have to think about what they need and also what the planet needs.
Yeah, that's fantastic. My best friend here is 90 years old. She just turned 90. And
Wow.
she takes advantage of one of those programs that really helps her stay independent, and allows her to stay that way with some of the discounts that she receives. So, like I mentioned, I switched to an electric car, um,
Hmm.
which felt like a big thing to me. And so many people in my life were like, isn't that a pain in the neck to try to remember when to charge? It's no more of a pain in the neck than trying to remember when to put gas in my car,
Hmm.
except that it's a heck of a lot cleaner. But besides doing something major like that, that's not in everyone's price range or in their budget or in their plan for right now to switch cars. So
Yeah.
besides that, you're saying we can winterize our houses, basically. Well, you're
Yeah.
winter, but you can insulate, pay attention to your efficiency in your house, and also look into incentive programs within your own energy company that could maybe
Yeah.
offset the cost of that, which is
Yeah.
big. Anything else you can think of that sticks out to you?
Yeah, and reiterating your point, simple changes at home and behaviors make a difference. That's a great point.
They
Um,
make a difference. I have a crazy friend who goes around unplugging everything in his house. Does that help?
yeah, that's vampire energy. It does help in terms of everything, but I think to the extent of even maybe one example is lowering your thermostat. I think a smaller item is we subsidize or even give smart thermostats away for free to really look at how do we that's like a simple thing you could install as you upgrade your home. That's not as major, but I think like you said, you talked about Earth Day a while ago. Growing up, me too. It's behaviors. It's now this technology, but then it's also maybe the next thing is as you and I are doing it, our communities should be doing it, and then your energy company is doing it. If we all do it and keep moving towards that, for me, addressing climate change impacts is really changing behaviors and greening and thinking about decarbonization. But then it's also thinking about climate change impacts, how it affect everyone, and really kind of making sure that we plan for the future. So I think all of that's really matters in terms of everything. And I'm so glad that you're using this platform to kind of say it's achievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in conclusion, I think
Hmm.
the past couple of months have led me to feel pretty overwhelmed by the state of things and feeling like there's nobody coming to rescue us, which can feel really bleak and dark. And I think a really important thing about Earth Day is that it reminds us that, we're all individuals and we're incredibly powerful. I mean, yes, we're incredibly powerful as a group and we're incredibly powerful in our own homes and our lives and our communities. And I do think that there is something we can do. The idea of climate change feels
Hmm.
enormous and too big, but the idea of making my home more efficient and changing my practices to be aware of when I'm, using and appreciating the gift of having, energy coming right into my house, because it is a gift. It's not a given around the world. So, I really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate all of those great ideas. And everybody, check out your energy company's websites. They have tons of information. A lot of them have incentives, all kinds of info. I think the more educated you are, the more responsible you can be. So
Thank you so much.
thanks for joining us, and thanks
Bye.
for letting me be a part of this. It's a huge honor.
Thank you.